Hey guys, welcome back to the Shunting Yard. This is our weekly sort of get together with a couple of friends. James is not here this week, so I'm hosting it. And wish me luck. I've got a stiff drink. I'm very nervous about it, but I will do my best. So this week, in replacement of James, we've added a very special guest, and that is Sam, SBJ from the Emperor's Path, or the Model Rail Replacement Podcast. And of course, we have our resident Welshman, Rob. Hey, Rob,
I'm not Welsh.
Yes, you are.
Hi, everybody. How are we all doing this
How
evening?
Are you doing, mate?
I'm pretty good. I'm all geared up, ready for this. I'm really excited. So, all good.
Stoked to be talking about some dirty stuff. Sam, it is
Talking
so
dirty.
cool to have you here, mate. Honestly, it is a real honor. We both, I think all of us in the Shunting Yard have always admired and enjoyed the Model Rail Replacement Podcast. And on top of that, of course, your YouTube content, mate. So say hello and introduce yourself, I guess.
Hello, good evening. It's wonderful to be here. The pre-warm-up to this show last night was absolutely fantastic. So if last night was anything to go by, I'm looking forward to this evening.
Absolutely, yeah. It was a bit raucous. I think we spent about 2 hours on a sound check, which just ended in like absolute chaos.
Yeah,
so it was
chaos.
All good fun. So we've got a couple people joining us. Hooterton, hello mate, how are you doing? 3B Rail, Bill, how's it going? J22 MDR, hello, introduce yourself. I'd love to know your name. Who else we got? We got Phil, our resident moderator, PN Motorsports. How you doing? Moorwood, what's up, man? How you doing? J. Paul Anderson from Holland, or I suppose the Netherlands. We don't really call it Holland anymore, do we?
We're going international.
Yeah. Annie from Poland. Dan from Pedantic Mongrels Railway Channel. Nightbot's here, guys. Nightbot is here to moderate and shut you all up. So stoked to have him here too. Of course, James is in the comments. He couldn't be asked to join us this evening, so he just is plugging in from the sidelines. Russell Benton, hello, how you doing, mate? J22 MDR, you are Sam. Double O Duo, Gaz, how you doing, man? Hope you're having a good evening. What are you all up to this evening? Love to know. Let us know in the comments. Okay, so I think to kick things off, let's chat a little bit about what's been happening in model railways this week. I think probably the hot story right off the bat is this. The new Acura Scale 31s that they've announced, a very small and limited batch, and I believe most of these have already sold out. So they're very, very popular. Sam, did you ever get one of these?
No, I did not, and I regret. Well, actually, no, I don't regret not getting one because I have always been in love with the Rail Freight Red Stripe 31, and I think it looks gorgeous. I've been very lucky to have weathered one of the Rail Freight non-red stripe ones, and they are beautiful models. So I'm tempted. I'm very tempted.
You don't have to pay for it now, Sam, if you put your pre-order in. It's the beauty and danger of Acura Scale, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're like, no, it's fine. Just come on in.
I'm pretty sure there's 3 Acura Scale pre-orders sat in my name at the moment, so I'm trying to hold fast.
Hilton does not get paid for his trying to get people to buy their products. He's just a fan.
The thing is, I feel like with the Acura Scale stuff, it's not even like you really need to try to get people to purchase from them. It just feels so easy to do when it's with Acura Scale. And I always talk about how great the pay in advance thing is, but it just works so easy to do that. And I think more companies need to start doing it because it will make things so much easier. It certainly takes away the sting of big price tickets or big ticket prices.
Absolutely. Yeah, like the pay as you go, if you will. I think it's like just eases things a little bit. Hooterton was like Captain Credit is your friend when it comes to a Cura scale. I'm not sure if you're referring to credit cards. I've been down that road. It's a really dangerous and slippery. So I strongly recommend you don't do that. Okay,
So go on then. What's your favorite?
Yeah.
What's your favorite of them?
What's my of all of them? Ooh.
Of the new batch they've just announced.
So I'm gonna say it's actually the Fragon set one. Only because I saw the Bachmann Minotaur at TMC when I was over there a couple months ago, and I was like, "Whoa, that Fragon set!" It's never really done anything for me before, but in person, it looked really like the burgundy color, really like kind of stuck out to me. So that's mine. I'm guessing yours would be the Rail Freight, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, that ochre one is different.
It's definitely a looker, isn't it? It's not a bad looking loco.
You know, the thing is if you were to pre-order it, even if you just got the DCC ready one, and just this is like me giving away my own thought process here, is if you just bought it and then just held on to it for like a couple of months, you know you could turn that over for 331s. The prices on eBay of Acura scale exclusives is ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. Okay, we go.
Shunting Yard approved. Get rich quick scheme right there.
Dram of all good. Bill says he's drinking Abalur this evening. Robert, what are you drinking?
I'm not even going to say because Hilton will hate me.
No, tell us.
It is Glen Orkey from it's a blended malt scotch.
I like that you emphasize the blended part. Thank you for letting us know. Your honesty.
I'm not going to sugarcoat it because I've already been grilled by both yourself and James over my choice of drink, but I do think it's better than wine, especially after last week.
Absolutely. That was the time. Sam, what are you drinking?
This evening, I am drinking sparkling water, but also I'm cherishing the stream with some Don Papa mascara this evening. Just
why are you drinking mascara?
Because it makes my eyes pop.
Yeah, Queen, get it.
I do need to sort of highlight the fact that I know what's in like Rob's cup, but when I saw him drink from that mug, it looked like far too big a swig for what's in that mug.
Yeah, absolutely. That was a monster gulp.
Now you can understand why I get drunk so quick.
The kiln line, constantly thirsty.
I mean, it is quite warm up here, but
I'm absolutely parched.
The hating has begun.
There's no hating.
Just taking the mic.
Mark has pre-ordered the Rail Freight Red Stripe. Cool, good. That's awesome. I think Sam will be very proud of you. Congratulations.
I'm always proud of Mark.
Annie says, this is my Annie. She's like, my favorite one is the cheapest one. No,
the best one's always the most expensive.
Let's go. Russell says the Aqua one is sold out. Yes, I saw that. It went really quickly. I think it was like by the Monday or Tuesday it was done. I think this is a dig at your choice of drink. Rob, blended bog swill.
He said that. He said that before, but you know, it's whiskey, isn't it? And it's still got an alcohol content.
It's fine. It's fine. We'll let this one slide. My drink of choice: a Frege milkshake. Is that a Frisian? Is that like a is this a southern thing?
It's a type of milkshake we have over here. It's ones you get from the shop. You can just get with your meal deal at Tesco, kind of thing.
It's meant to be a phonetic type one, so it's meant to be fridge, but said like a real it's a fridge, mate. It's like one of those.
Yeah, he's clearly a southerner, and he said it like a southerner. It's a fridge.
I like that he's gone for the brownie edition. That shows class.
I didn't know that there was a brownie edition. I've never heard of Fridge in my life.
Well, when you come over next, I will treat you to one.
I look forward to it. I will say the one thing I really, really miss is Scampi's chips.
Oh,
Scampi's was just like those were amazing. Like a beer and a packet of Scampi's. Oh man, that stuff was amazing. Steve, good to have you. Copper Top in the house. I know you were at the Seven Valley today. I hope you had an amazing time. Okay, all right. So let's move on with the news because I think we've held on to these 31s for far too long. Courtesy of Rails, we have some engineering samples. So here is the TT120 Terrier set that's coming. I think this looks really posh, I must say. Any thoughts?
To be fair, I think it looks really good. You know, they've got to start somewhere to try and get people more interested in TT, and starting with the Terrier is a good spot, isn't it? Especially with the Stroudley coaches. They go perfectly together. You've got a full-on train set there from the get-go. And from what we can see there, it looks really good. It looks like the O-gauge version just scaled down.
Yeah, it really does. Sam, how are you feeling on this? Are you warm?
Oh, I'm so warm on this. So
warm.
when the TT announcement dropped, I was in B&Q, and I knew it must have been big because about 4 or 5 people text me all the same thing saying, "Have you seen the TT announcement?" I was like, okay, so it's either got to be lots of multiple units or it's got to be something that I like as a loco. And
yeah,
I was genuinely like over the moon with. I thought it was a really, really good announcement. But I was genuinely so surprised about the Terrier. It was the one thing I wasn't expecting. And I think they look great. And the engineering samples, to see that it's an all die-cast model as well, is phenomenal.
Absolutely. Yeah, it really does. And I think the delivery options that they're coming out with straight out the gates is very appealing. And as we, I think, spoke about last week, you know, the Terriers are kind of like a go anywhere, do anything sort of little tank engine. And everyone loves them. How can you not? They're just so damn cute. I've heard that the coaches, while they look metal here, they are actually plastic, which is absolutely fine. But I can see a few Southern fans being pretty happy about this one. But nice to see the engineering samples. King Ori, hello. He says, "Hey, Matt." Oh, he's talking to other Matt Maritime. Hello, Matt. How are you? With a TT Isle of Wight layout on the exhibition circuit would be great. Absolutely agree with you on that. Next TT engineering sample is this, the branch line freight train. Now that I'm seeing it, I'm a little less excited personally. I was quite stoked about it initially, but it's okay. I guess as a starting point, it's a good one, right?
It's been manufactured for a budget. You can clearly see it on all the plastic details, and the wagons just look like the Hornby starter set double O gauge one scaled down, which they probably are. But
absolutely,
it's somewhere to start. It's nothing that you're gonna write home about, is it? It's a starter set, and they're going down the right track to get people started in TT by making something simple, effective, and bog standard.
Yeah. Is this a nice entry point though, Sam? I mean, would you go for the Terrier, or would you get this as like a baseline for yourself?
Why not both?
Why not both?
The thing is, I think as a starter set, I'm basically echoing what you guys said last week. As a starter set, it's phenomenal. It's so good. Phenomenal is going to be my word of the night. Clearly, it's a phenomenal. Really good price point. Everything's just great. And I mean, once again, it just so happens to be Southern, so it's even better. But I don't think I would have purchased this, but that's only because there are other TT stuff that's on my horizon, kind of thing. I think what's weird about this one is because it's painted, it almost feels like it does let you suddenly down on it when you compare it to the Terrier, but then you have to look at it and go, well, this is clearly not finished. I mean, there's buffer beams, but there's no actual buffers. So like, it's little bits like that the through the eye, it's tricking you. But I genuinely think this is going to be such a good little entry to the hobby in general. And it's that kind of thing where if you can get your controller and your track and everything, and effectively you get this little loco to go with it, I think it's good. I think it's really good.
Yeah, it looks like it'll be a really useful little engine, doesn't it? I must say.
Wow, I can't believe you just
Speaking
dropped
of,
It hasn't got a face on it, for God's sake.
Tom Marshall, Buggles Kelly Station. Hello, Tom. How are you? Good to see you here. Just in time for the Thomas reference drops. Right. Next thing. Wait. King Ori says the only thing that pushes me the wrong way is the wagons look weird, being very long. Yeah, I can see
the
that.
van especially looks ridiculously long for what it should be. I mean, it should be what, probably 3 or 4 scale feet less.
I wouldn't know. I've never seen one of those wagons in real life. So.
Is it bad that it doesn't? I still really like it.
No. I genuinely, I think it's a great little entry, and you know, you don't expect detail in a set like this.
Yeah, absolutely. Honestly, for a kickoff point like this, I'm very at the price that it's at. I'll get this, and I'll get like 237s, and I'll be happy. You know, I'm good to go.
37 on either end of that Southern Region van.
Yeah, absolutely. Just double heading that like Bestwood van. it's a load. Okay, next up we got the Azuma bimode units. These are the engineering samples. I honestly don't know if I can speak to this personally. Cool, I guess. Nice to see. I don't know if either of you have anything to say about that.
It's an EMU, isn't it?
I believe technically it's an EMU and a DMU. Okay, right? That's...
All right.
All right.
Don't start trying to bring the hate. All right, I've been nothing but nice to you so far. I think any engineering samples when it comes to an EMU or a DMU or a bimode unit, they look really odd, but in the livery they're going to look absolutely fine. Like I can't see a problem.
Yeah,
it's just that sort of, because it's an engineering sample and we know it's a railroad unit, it does easily make you believe that it looks cheap, but it's not. That's just what plastic looks like when it's not covered in the livery of a loco.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, with
right,
the train sets, they tend to be plastic, don't they? Whereas, you know, with the steam locomotives, you can see kind of what you're getting because it's die cast. You got the different colours of the different materials, haven't you? So it's harder to see on these kind of things.
Yeah, which I suppose, Rob, brings us to our next point, which is, I know Sam is a firm favorite of this locomotive. And we're talking about the Deltic DP1, which Sam has, like I've heard him say many times. It's amazing.
He loves this thing.
It's like you're trying to get me to deliberately swear before the watershed. It's like you're actively trying to get me to kick off.
No, why would we do that? We love, you know, very low effort podcast type things. You know, we don't want any excitement. We don't want any views. We don't want any engagement. It's just, you know, we just thought we'd share with you a nice engineering sample of your favorite engine in the entire world.
Did you just refer to me as low effort?
No, I would never. No.
That loco he's weathering for you is going against the wall. It's going on the floor now.
Well.
I'm not your friend anymore.
Sam, what do you think about this? Will you be pre-ordering the DP1?
No, I will not be pre-ordering the DP1. However, I believe that for those who are collectors and people who like things that belong only in a museum, then this is possibly something that they may need to get.
Damn.
Although it's on the wrong side of the Atlantic, to be honest.
That broadside was fired back.
I took
Man
it.
of war?
I took that hit, but we all know he's wrong. To be honest, like I mean, the DP1 is a thing of beauty, especially in its striking blue livery. I'm really excited about this. I won't lie. I'm just gonna, you know this, but like I can't wait to get my hands on this. The only thing I'm really worried about lately is the HM 7000 TXS sound on this. I really hope that they go to a bit of extra effort to bolster the sound a little bit, because lately HM 7000 I've kind of had my eyes opened up to a lot more other sound profiles, and I'm like, yeah, it's not that great. Please make sure you do this justice and give it some proper like deep bass. That's the only thing I'm worried about. But the sample looks amazing. Like I think it's absolutely stunning.
Are you going to buy this one, Hilt, after you bought the other one from the NRM last year?
Yes.
The pause was brilliant.
So as
Yes.
someone who does already own one version of it, what is it that makes you go, I need to own the Hornby diecast version? This isn't me trying to fire shots. This is a genuine question. Why do you want to buy two of these? What is it that makes you go, this thing that only exists in one version, I already own a version of it. Why are you looking to purchase a second one?
So in my mind, and now you're ruining my whole plan, was to actually get this was supposed to be a whole episode, Sam. Damn it. No, I think I'll shed myself of my Bachmann DP1. I think that the tooling for its age is beginning to show in a lot of ways. I think that the Hornby one really does look like really 2025, if we will. The fidelity on this is actually crazy, in my opinion. So I think I only ever want one DP1, but I'm going to relinquish mine for probably a ridiculously low price, because I'm not going to ship it over to the UK. So some South African bloke will be able to pick this up for dirt cheap, because they refuse to pay over £60 for anything. So mine will go.
You're literally going to do a Toy Story and just drop it on the floor and say, I don't want to play with you anymore.
Literally, yeah, pretty much. You know, I haven't seen much use of mine. It's kind of just been sitting here.
You spent so much money on that as well.
I know, but I was at the National Railway Museum. I was feeling all the feelings, and I was just like, oh, you know what? What's £200? It doesn't matter.
If I'm not going to see Scotsman, I'm going to get this instead.
Exactly. Honestly. Lou Chuggington.
Thank you for helping me, Tom. I greatly appreciate that.
All right, next up we have the J13, some decorated samples. Thanks so much, Rails. You guys are always just so on the ball with all your news and updates and stuff. I know they had the Hornby event, but like, it's always just the place I go for news. It's just Rails. Thanks, guys. These
they make life easy.
Yeah.
Are they the one? They're the ones that they're working alongside Rapido on, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not my thing, but the green GNR.
Yeah,
is it GNR?
It's nice.
That does.
Yeah, Great Northern Railway.
Really nice. The finish on that is almost as good as a Great Western.
Careful now. Careful now. Jesus.
Shots fired again.
Way too early for this. He's sipping his rum. Cool.
I complimented the steam train.
I mean, I'll take it, I guess. Sam, I know.
It's not a train, Sam. God.
steam train.
It is a miniature locomotive.
Exactly. All the Peppa Pig viewers will notice that reference.
Yeah. Don't have a kid, mate. Sorry.
You will notice it eventually.
I don't think I'll be letting her watch the CBBS. If I have this choice.
District 9 is the go-to for South Africans.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, we raise children on like farms. We shoot at them. They drive Hiluxes all around the country. they're raised well. Very well.
This is descending into chaos already.
No, it really is. Sorry, let's just get through the news. We're almost there, guys. Sorry, I'm derailing myself. Look, we've got the tavern coaches, so you can have a beer.
Are they Thompson coaches, are they? Oh, bullied.
What bullied? Yeah, it's bullied, yeah.
They look nice. I quite like those.
This is another example
seemed like
of...
people were pretty stoked about these.
This is one of those examples where the non-decorated versions make them look worse than the last time you saw them. But I once the paint's on them, I think they're going to look great.
Proper.
But if the crimson and cream one that's got the like the picture of the pub on the side, I think is going to be great.
Yeah, totally agree with you. And then finally, the birth of Railway's train pack. With this
Another cash grab.
Resplendent cola-esque display case. I mean, it's nice if you haven't got any of them, right? I think it's quite cool. And if you like that sort of stuff, I personally hate Era 1. It does absolutely nothing for me. So not something I'm interested in. But I mean, as a pack, I think that's quite cool, I guess. I don't know how well this will sell, though, to be honest.
I think this will sell very well. I think this is going to be something that you see sell out far quicker than you anticipate.
Really? Okay.
I'm saying that as someone.
It's collectors, isn't it?
So I've not purchased any of the Era 1, Era 2 stuff because, funnily enough, it doesn't fit with what I usually model. But
you don't
I saw that. I saw this and I was like, do you know what? I might purchase that because at least there's somewhere for me to store and display the trains. I probably still will never purchase it, but I think it's the kind of thing that would appeal to anyone who's into railways, not just the people who are specifically modeling that era.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, well, I mean, is there anything else you guys have seen this week that I may have missed? I mean, I just did a quick scan this evening, so...
There has been nothing O-gauge or N-gauge that I can think of or have seen, which seems to be a running thing every week at the moment.
Oh, sorry, Rob. No, NG7.
It's okay. There hasn't been anything NG7 since last summer.
You guys are getting robbed. You all buy into this new scale, and then, you know.
Yeah, but I've only got one thing from Bachmann on my layout now, so I can't really say anything.
Fair enough. So I suppose we can start heading towards the main topic of this evening, though. I think before we do that, let's just talk to Sam, because it's such an honor to have you here, Sam.
Hi, Sam.
No, really, thank you for joining us, because I know you were on a break from MERP. Most of you will probably know Sam from MERP or from Emperor's Path, although he tends to give MERP more attention, so we don't get any videos on Emperor's Path, which is very frustrating, because I am sapped for content. Like, I really do want more. Especially your narrow gauge build. Wait, what happened?
You're calling him out live. This isn't on.
No, this is what we have to do. We come here for honesty. Oh, there it is. Oh, look at that. So Sam is I suppose, somewhat of a prolific artist and known quite well. But Sam, I've prepared a presentation for you, Sam. Look at that.
This is your life.
This is what you do. Look,
James, he's really trying to push you in future.
But Sam, maybe you could just give us a bit of background on who you are for anyone who might not know you. I doubt anyone would know you, but just what you do, and maybe a little bit on MERP. Rob, maybe if you want to ask some questions about the MERP.
MERP.
I know you've been on the show. So Sam, tell us about yourself.
Cool. So my name's Sam. I also sometimes refer to myself as SBJ. I am 50% of the Model Rail Replacement podcast, which I do with my good friend James from the Western Signalman. You're right. I'm very bad at putting up YouTube videos. YouTube has always been one of those things. You can look back over my YouTube history. Is that the right term? And it's always very sporadic. You'll find that I'll do 5 months of solid videos, and then I won't do another video for another 6 months, and then I suddenly do another 7. And I think there's no. It's no
rhyme
secret.
or reason. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very much a case of I just get busy, or the ADHD kicks in, where I suddenly lose all interest in it. But I've not made it. I've not made it any big secret that I've always said the podcast has always been my absolute favorite part of my hobby. It's how I put the hobby out, and being able to sit down each week and talk with James about it is really, really fun, because we don't just have what we put out as an episode, but James and I usually spend 30 to 40 minutes per recording session talking absolute codswallop and just sort of putting the world to rights, which is nice because I effectively get to vent hobby before I press the record button, and James keeps me in check quite well.
Yes, he does seem like the law.
I think he'd like that, James being referred to as the law. I know he's watching. I can see. Hi James. He only uses it to host the podcast, you know. The only reason that my YouTube channel is monetized is because the podcast is on there. I also, outside of the podcast and the YouTube channel, I do weathering and go to different shows and stuff like that. I'm basically a busybody who doesn't actually do what I'm supposed to be doing most of the time, and I will talk your ears off for as long as you need me to. So in terms of filler, I believe I'm a great person to be here. Have you?
I'm your man.
But yeah, podcast, YouTube channel, man who makes things dirty. I think I like to think I've got quite the reputation for being on the heavier side of weathering compared to some other people. I believe the phrase "light dusting" has been mentioned quite a few times on this.
Just light dusting. I must say, Sam, I mean, that's how I found you initially. It wasn't through YouTube. It was through your Instagram and like your weathering. And I love the grimy stuff. And as a complete idiot when it comes to weathering, I took a lot of inspiration from your work. If you know,
he has no idea what he's doing.
No, but it's definitely. I mean, I prefer the heavy-handed stuff. I think your stuff looks bad. That's not what I'm saying. It's not shit. It's amazing. But I really do enjoy your weathering stuff. And then I found out you had a YouTube channel after that. And then I think shortly after that, you guys launched Merp, which was just about a year ago. So congratulations to both you and James. It's a huge milestone and a lot of effort. I know that is not easy to pull off. But as you say, if you're doing it with your mate, it doesn't feel like work so much, right?
Yeah, it's definitely. Don't get me wrong, we certainly have those bad days where sometimes we rock up and we're not necessarily ready to record. But I think the thing that's really good is between James and myself, we're pretty good at pulling the other one out of the funk, if that makes sense. Whether that's before or during the recording, I'll let you decide that. But it's I think I've been very vocal in the fact that I think we need more Model Rail podcasts, because sometimes don't get me wrong, I really enjoy watching people's YouTube channels, and I love watching people make their layouts and just talk about what they're doing with their hobby. But I think the fact of having people just sit and just talk to each other about model railways is what makes it a really, really good opportunity. And I'd love to see more. I know I've said that Adam from Rail Stuff does a really, really good job, but I just wish, and I said this to him at Ali Pali, I said, you just need to bring out more episodes. You don't put out enough to keep me constantly going.
Yeah.
I mean, I drive a lot for work, and I live on podcasts. And do you know what? If I had a model rail podcast that I could listen to that I hadn't sat through and recorded and edited, I'd probably feel a lot better when I had that episode each week.
Yeah.
I totally agree, because when I'm at work, I'm a design engineer by trade, so I'm at my desk designing stuff like through and through every day. So I rely on audiobooks and podcasts such as MERP to get me through the day. And railway podcasts in general, I think, are quite lacking at the moment. So I totally see where you're coming from there.
Sorry, I realized I kept that comment up for a little bit too long from Finbro, which was like, Sam, heavy weathering? Just let that sit there for way too long.
Was that to insinuate the point, was it?
No, not at all. I just forgot about it. I'm doing my best. I promise.
Look at that.
Look at that.
I think that is possibly one of the few things I didn't expect to come out of this podcast, is that I have met people for the first time and they go, "Oh my God, you're Sam." And then the next line is usually, "Look at that." And I have, it's like this weird thing where like, it's kind of surreal. I imagine it would be like the equivalent of someone saying someone's catchphrase straight to their face.
Yeah.
And I never, it wasn't until we had Tom on the show that I realized how awful it actually was, because obviously Tom is a phenomenal voice actor, and him and James just started mocking me, and I was like, is it really that bad? and then it was almost after, I think we released a blooper reel from that interview, and it's just very much become this thing now where like people just say it to me, and it's so weird, but at the same time I'm kind of a little bit happy about it at the same time.
Yeah, you should be. I mean, the fact that it shows your audience, right? I mean, you guys have the analytics in the background. I'm sure you realize how successful your podcast has been overall. Like, I mean, the fact that, you know, not just beyond YouTube, both you and James probably go to shows and get people coming up to you all the time now because they're so familiar. You guys are the weekly podcast now, and as Tom was saying, MERP is my life now. I literally have nothing. That's all I have going on in my life. Now that you guys are on a break, what are we gonna do?
It's tell you what, it's been one of those things that has kept me going. I've, you know, especially on Mondays over the last year, obviously, is waiting for that podcast to drop in the mornings. It's just gets me through at least an hour and a half of my morning before I start banging my head on the desk.
Yeah, you guys need longer episodes too, honestly. Like uncut, like full on, go for 3 hours. You know, some people drive far, you know.
Yeah.
Hour and a half there and an hour and a half back.
So ironically, as much as it would be a great thing to have episodes that I don't have to edit, I tell you what, the analytics do show that once James and I hit the 90-minute mark on an episode, you genuinely see the episodes that are longer than 90 minutes, they perform much worse. So
really,
it's this weird thing where it's like a 90-minute thing. I guess it's because the average commute is 45 minutes, so it means that on the day that an episode comes out, someone can listen half on the way there, half on the way back, and anything more, they're like, you've lost me for the week. I'll use the charity stream we did at Christmas. James and I put a lot of effort into that, and then not only that, but we also had to wrangle the cats that were our guests on that show. And it with a lot of effort was put into it, and that is one of our worst performing episodes, yet it's one of the episodes I had the most fun doing.
Wow.
So
that's so surprising, because that had some serious star power as well.
I mean, we pulled out the big players. We had it.
Yeah, you really did.
I looked at my rum then, and I was like, I feel like I'm about to go to a pit of despair here. But no, I mean, it was, for me, it was a really
welcome to my world.
But you can see it when you look at the analytics, and I think that's possibly the part where I had to take a step back from how. Thanks, James. It was probably the part where I had to step back a little bit more, because on a Monday, I'd send James, I'd be like at 12 o'clock, I'd be like, here's where this episode is based on last week's current rankings. This is where this one sits. And but you can definitely see that as soon as you hit 90 minutes, it really, really drops off with people listening to it.
That's interesting.
Interesting. That is very interesting because there's a couple comments there here from Mark. They need to do a few longer ones. I have to cut my runs short on some. Fairford Depot's one. I nearly completed a marathon.
In all fairness, we the Shunting Yard in us three have actually talked about going to Spotify and actually doing that, like saving the audio from this and editing it into a podcast format in the future. So this
Have
is.
we?
Have you? Were you not privy to that, Hill?
No, I didn't know we were doing that.
I think that must have been me and James that spoke about that then.
Oh, sounds like a private chat, excluding me. All right, well, noted.
We're going to pay for that later now.
Especially as he's your superstar.
I'm not.
Sam,
I knew
he
that
has
would
no
get you.
idea what he's bloody doing. So what?
Right, let's move on. So without potentially
I
ruining
have found
any...
your kryptonite, and it is giving you compliments. Huzzah!
I hate that. I hate it. I am just some random little dude from South Africa. Just
I like your hair.
Sam, without that's fine. Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm glad I've still got it, and I hope to keep it for as long as I can. Thank you. Right, moving swiftly along, Sam, without potentially ruining any surprises, I guess, for upcoming or planned episodes, what are your thoughts on TT120 lately? We did an episode about it last week, obviously, and I know we just touched on it ever so slightly now, but how are you feeling? Will you be getting a set this year based on everything you've seen?
So I have purchased some TT120 stuff.
Heard it here first, guys.
But
he might have mentioned it.
No, I haven't. To be fair, I mean, I've alluded to it. I mean, I've spoken a lot about it in episodes that when Peachy came on, we talked about it afterwards, and I said how the scale of it, because over the last year and a half, I've started seeing more of it at shows, and the more I see it in person, the more I do say, actually, the scale is like, and I know the argument that always comes up is, well, N allows you to have so much more, and I get it, but I don't like the size of N. It's too small, and I can't.
I agree.
I can't get along with it.
It's happy medium.
And that's it. And I tell you what, it is one of those. It is a scale that I think it's got so many legs to go with it, and I think Peachy in himself has done a fantastic job of cultivating an awareness, and his Camelot layout. If you've not seen it, or just go and have a look at it on his YouTube channel, in person, it's a phenomenal layout. How much he's managed to fit in such a small space. And I think,
which is amazing, yeah.
I think if you, and James said it best, I think, that what you can fit in terms of a HST versus a 00 gauge to a TT gauge, you fit so much more of it. And I know that it goes back to there's N available. N to me is just too small. Like every time I've seen a HST and N, I just switch off my mind when I'm at a show.
Yeah.
I see a layout and I can think it's beautiful, but I'm not interested. Physically just not interested in N-gauge layouts. They just don't do anything for me. And I know Finn
sounds like what you need.
Comments.
Sounds like what you need, Sam, is NG7.
No, I tried that. And I went, nah.
I know.
You know what the thing is? This is a bit of a hot take, but I just don't feel like in locos like run well. Like in comparison to 00 or even TT, there's something weirdly jerky about N. I really don't mean to upset anyone.
I think
it's just something I've picked up. Like I don't like the way they look when they're running or slowing down or. Yeah,
that's definitely something to do with the motor size, though. I think because the motors aren't quite up to the same standards as the larger gauges right now. You know, with O gauge, I could happily have a locomotive run round, and you can barely see the cranks running on this 08 that I've got over here. But if you give it an hour, it'll be on the other side of the layout. But you can't do that with Engage.
Sam says, I know what would really get people looking at TT if someone takes the O side Tomix Engage Thomas bodies and puts them on the TT tank engine chassis that are coming out. That's an idea. Certainly. Sam,
just to sort of round off the question, I think having
Yeah.
seen a full-size HST in TT, I think it is more impressive than seeing a full-size HST in N gauge, and it's not as overwhelming as a full-size HST in double O gauge. And I'm saying that as someone who has a full-scale HST on my layout. I do think it does look too overwhelming, and I think one thing that really made me sort of lose the immersion a little bit with double O gauge was I saw New Junction's video where he had the full Caledonian sleeper set on his layout, and I looked at it and went, "That's far too many. It's just what it kind of felt pointless." And I'm not saying he can't, but from my point of view, I was very much of that sort of switched off. Despite the fact that that is how many can run on a rake, I saw it and lost the immersion. And I've seen it in TT, and you know what? I think there is real legs to TT, and I was really impressed with Hornby's announcement. I think what they've got coming out over the next year could be fantastic.
Yeah.
What they've announced is going to save that scale.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And I think Sam, you've kind of hit the nail on the head there. Like it is the perfect happy medium. If I had started up again in this hobby, and TT was way more prolific than it was when it first launched. If it was quite well established already, that would be the scale I would have gone for. Unfortunately, it doesn't have quite the selection yet.
It hasn't got as many 37s yet.
Well, it's getting them. It's not counted out, but it certainly is. I think it's a good play from Hornby, and it's a long play. But I do think it's a great scale, as you say. I think it's a very happy medium. Let's see what we've got. Some comments here. More recent N-gauge releases are much better than older stuff, especially when it comes to slow running. Some of my stuff will creep so slowly you don't know it's moving. Absolutely, Finborough. I knew I was inciting a little bit of violence there when I said that about N. I don't mean to have a go at N, but it was just kind of my own observations.
The thing is, I don't think you were being horrible. I thought you were quite nice, and this is where sometimes I think when you say things, you're not slandering it, but you are saying it's not for me. And sometimes I think what's difficult is some people can't accept that that's not for you, and I think that's where sometimes in this hobby, especially, people really they think that you're attacking their scale, their gauge, their loco. People think that I attack the North or don't even mention them and all this sort of stuff. But it's not that. It's not my kind of thing. And I think that's sometimes where in this hobby in particular, it's really easy for people to feel that you're attacking them and you're firing shots, but you're not. You worded it very well. You just said it's not for you. You're not saying these are absolute crap. And I think that's where we really need to take a step back as a hobby and say, just accept people's opinions.
I completely agree with you, Sam. Completely agree with you. I think it's certainly one aspect of being within the sphere of posting opinions of things on the internet. It's very, very quick and very easy to incite some kind of response. Finborough, just to be clear, I didn't take that as you being offended with what I was saying. But I totally get what Sam what you're saying there, because it is true. We say one thing and then suddenly it snowballs. There we go. Hooterton, 100% agree. Fellow enthusiasts can get very defensive over a difference of opinion and have lost the novelty of banter, which you English people seem to be so bloody good at. So if anyone needs to sort themselves out, it's you lot.
Bloody British.
Sam takes a finishing swig of his rum and gets ready for the next phase. I wanted to jump back to we're going to talk about weathering. I promise we'll get there. We're just covering all our bases first. I think Rob, this was a question from you, but I've got it on my side. Sam, what made you and James think about starting the Model Rail Replacement podcast? Where did it all begin?
So I had a commission job that I did for James on some of his. Oh, he's going to kill me because I can't remember the name. They were Revolution Trains wagons, and they were the VGA. I think they were VGA. I can't remember. And I heavily weathered them for him. And when it was finished, I was like, "Oh, I'm actually going to be working up in your neck of the woods in the next couple of weeks. Do you want to meet up?" And he said, "Yeah, okay." So we set a date. This is a side story to it, and he's going to kill me.
That's cool.
For saying,
I like the backstory. Let's go.
He's going to kill me for saying this. So anyway, we agreed. We said, right, okay, so we're going to meet up on the Tuesday night, and it was actually the night of the Hornby yearly announcements that we were going to meet up. So we said X, Y, and Z. Yep, here's when we're going to meet up. Here's where we're going to go. And then the night before, I got a text saying, just so you know, here's what the building looks like outside. It's got loads of work going on in it, so it won't look the same. And then I was like, oh, okay, thanks very much. And I sort of sat on it for about 15 minutes. I went, I'm just double checking. You're not there tonight, are you? And he was like, yeah, I'm sat in the pub right now. And I was like, dude, it's tomorrow that we're meant to be meeting up. And then I did that thing of, I was like quickly looking for the screenshot. I was like, oh, here it is. And I quickly screenshot it, and it said the Tuesday. I was like, oh, thank God, I didn't get it wrong. So anyway, the next night I said, well, do you want me to come closer to you? Because you've already travelled at least an hour to come into near where I was staying. So I went and met him, and we sat down at this really cool little pub, handed stuff over, and we just had a general chat. And he was telling me a little bit about the Hornby announcement without giving too much away, because I know I was recording that video later that evening in my hotel room. And we just had a really lovely chat, and both of us almost at the same time just said, you know what the hobby's really missing? It's just a podcast. And then we just sort of both looked at each other, and then it sort of, I think we must have spent a good 45 minutes talking about what you could do, how you could do it, and all that sort of stuff. Because Adam from Rail Stuff had his podcast at that point, and I said I really liked the format of it. I said I love the idea of guests. I said, but it'd be nice to have maybe a few more discussions and actually having two people talking to one, and that's how we got the idea of having the two people on the podcast with the occasional guests. And I think both of us went into full ADHD mode, where it was something where we just sat there. So this must have been in January, and we were talking and ideas. Thanks, Tom. I do like to romanticize mine and James's relationship, and I do romanticize it way more than James does. James's version of this story was we met up in a pub, said let's do a podcast, and that was it. But I'm
enjoying the romantic side.
No, me too. It's delightful, honestly. And into his deep green, brown, blue eyes. I don't know what color James' eyes are.
As I gazed into his eyes that were of a colour, and I saw that
rubbing his foot up his leg.
Oh, whoa, okay.
Okay. Whoa.
Okay. It's not past 9 o'clock yet.
Almost there. We're almost there. Then the gloves come off.
Continue.
As I purchased him a pint and sat down across from him, and I put the pint just a little bit across. Yeah, I need romantic music to go with this.
Wait, I'm sorry.
And yeah, it was just one of those things where it became a thing where we were like, let's do this, and thanks.
Oh, that's good.
As I sat and I just looked across at James, his gaze met mine. Are you sure this is what you want? I said. He reached his hand up to his head, and he pulled that sweet beanie from his head, and he held it tightly in his hands. And he said to me, Sam, there is nothing I want more than to sit and talk absolute podswallop with you for 2 hours a week. I my hands on the table. I stood up. I leant across. And I said, "These are my fucking pork scratchings." And I sat back down and ate the whole packet to myself.
Didn't let him have one.
I don't know. I can't actually remember if they were.
How rude!
There
How
was a very
rude.
romantic.
Oh,
He's gonna kill me.
Oh, it was perfect. That was
I don't-
absolutely
I-
perfect.
I don't see any
Good
comments
night,
from it
sweet
yet.
prince.
Oh man!
Well, I must say, I think that's a script right there, Sam. Honestly, you guys need to pitch
Oh.
that. I think you'll probably do better than Snow White did. So,
Guys,
yeah.
Sam, we're gonna have to get you back on to do a live action version of this. Just for the channel, just so we can all see it properly.
I'm gonna go
He's gonna-
fetch some candles and incense.
I like a Hooterton's comment, which is this isn't going to turn into 50 Shades of BR Grey, is it?
Where is that comment? Damn it. Oh, there we go. No, there we go. Good stuff. Good stuff. Well, I mean, it's yeah. Wow, I don't know how to follow up after that. Yeah. It was
Next
special.
question,
Thanks,
Hill.
Sam.
Next question.
Yeah, right. Okay, Sam. Sam, you recently posted. It's gonna be like, it's gonna just really bring us down to the ground now. It was such a high. Sam, you recently posted a video of your layout update. I know you were making some changes there. How's that going? Have you started? What's the plans?
So yes, it's begun. So that is this. Try and work out my camera. So this is the bridge section, which would usually be where I'm sat right now. So my fiddle yard's completely disconnected from the rest of the layout. So my desk now, my fiddle yard is directly behind my monitor. So behind you is the fiddle yard.
Oh, I've actually never seen this perspective. Okay, got you.
Yes, so this is new. This desk got moved here beginning of the week.
Okay.
So the idea is that the fiddle yard is behind you, and it comes around, and it's going to curve out, and then it's going to come into the bottom of. It's going to, anyway. So this side, fiddle yard comes into here, so that the bridge will actually be coming out of the fiddle yard, and it'll go along this wall. And then, as you can see, the eaves are just behind here. And then the idea is that it's going to curve round, and then there's going to be a massive stretch all along that wall. That's the part that's going to take a while.
Like very scenic sort of runs along that line at the back there. Then
I'd like to think so. This is where James is really good. He's really good at talking me down from hobby ledges, and there's been.
I really hope you caught that, James, because it was gold. It was absolute gold. Actually, I think that you guys should cut that up and just put it into like one of your ad breaks. Like, I think it was absolutely weird.
Don't forget to credit us.
I've always said that James must always refer to me as the other woman because of how much I message him during the day. So anyway, behind
That's gold.
So the narrow gauge railway is currently sat above my stairway that goes downstairs. But I've turned it around so that you had something to look at, because I always feel bad because you guys always have trains running around in the background. So along that back wall is going to be something, and it's about 14 foot of railway to play with, which is I only had 7 foot remaining. So I'd love to put a station in there, but I'm also really torn about putting in almost like just a scenic bit where you can have trains flying down there, and having like an old oak style. I've got the turntable and stuff still, but it's basically given me a giant scope of what I can work with along that back wall. I just need to get there. So to answer your question, yes, it's begun. No, it's not finished.
Okay, and you've made some significant progress with the 009 layout, which we have not seen yet. So this is a bit of a spoiler because I'm still waiting for the next video. You were like on a roll with it, and then it just like dropped off, and I was like, oh, okay, well, I guess we're done with that series now. He threw it in the bin.
That is.
But okay, good to see that it's still alive.
You've just summarized my YouTube in 20 seconds. That is
There's
my
only
YouTube videos.
There's only one person I know that throws their layout in the bin, and that's Hilton.
I carefully cut it up. Carefully. And then I put it in the bin. So, yeah. All right. Okay. Wow. We've spent an hour talking about news and Emperor's Path, and we've learned about the romantic history behind James and Sam, and it's sultry. I won't lie. But I suppose we should actually get onto the topic. James is going to kill me. My James. Sorry. As Sam calls him, the lesser James.
I don't have a romantic story with that, James.
Neither do we.
No, we really don't, unfortunately. Probably fortunately.
Maybe
All right,
one
so
day.
We're gonna talk about weathering tonight. I've prepared look, surprise, Sam's weathering. And there's some of it right there, and I must
Right there.
Look absolutely incredible. Sam,
That's the old layout,
tell us
isn't it?
about your weathering. I think it is, yeah. I went deep into the Emperor's Path archives to pull out
That
some
was
old
a
stuff.
touchy. I went deep.
I know it was close.
Can't
It
even
was
repeat
close,
it.
but I had to hurry up the next part of that sentence a lot.
We're after Watershed now, boys.
So Sam, I just want to from your history, I understand that you kind of started off with Warhammer, which we'll obviously have to talk about now. But was that kind of where your modeling began, or were you like me, where you started off with aircraft as a young boy, or something else? Where did you kind of begin?
So I did start with trains. Trains was pretty much my first hobby.
Okay.
It was the first thing I really became obsessed with. It's been well known that the Woolworths Royal Mail Class 47 set was my first ever train set.
Oh yes, yeah.
And I used to have that sort of running around my room constantly. And I loved trains. I would do anything that was train related when I was little, and it just became that thing where I didn't have money to buy new trains, so eventually the train set that I did have just became something that went in the loft.
Yeah.
And I think, like a lot of kids my age, so I was born in '88, we hit that point where suddenly PlayStation 1s became available, and then PlayStation 2s, and for a very, very long time, it was very much a video game type thing. Game Boys, Game Boy Advance, Game Boy Colors, all that sort of stuff. And then about 1999, I discovered Warhammer, and then I spent a very long time of my life with Warhammer being sort of the main hobby focus. And I very much was a hobby butterfly where little bits and bobs would come in and out. Trains came back in about 2012, 2013. Then that dipped off mainly because of space, because I lived in a flat in Southsea. And then...
not because of space, like space.
Yeah, I didn't become obsessed with Jupiter or anything like that. Suddenly really into astrology. And yeah, it was Warhammer for me was a really big. For me, it was a social aspect of the hobby. I enjoyed painting, but the reason I did it was for the actual gaming part, and I was always very much into. I used to like coming to a game, having a fully painted army, and just rolling some dice. And most people who will have played with me back in the day will know that I am terrible. I am renowned for having some of the worst dice rolls in history, but I just enjoyed playing the game. I thought it was very much a great thing. And then COVID just came and absolutely knocked all of that hobby love out of me, because my part of the hobby was being able to play it and not being able to
Yeah.
play it then suddenly kills the hobby for you. So then that's when, like a lot of people being stuck indoors, the train side of things started creeping back in, and then I decided that it was time for me to build a little Inglenook shunting puzzle, and then here we are. We're now
Amazing. And out of interest, because I know Rob will want to jump into this at some point, but what did you model in Warhammer? Like armies? What factions were you in?
So my main love for a number of years was the Horus Heresy. For a very long time, it was a sort of a sub game made by Games Workshop, where you're effectively playing almost the prequel. It was like playing episode 1, 2, and 3 of Star Wars, so that you knew what happened in A New Hope and Empire Strikes Back. James is going to kill me. I forgot the name of one of the films.
Okay, but just Return of the Jedi. But
Yeah.
like, just hold on there, Sam. You don't need to watch 1, 2, and 3 to know what the story of 4, 5, and 6. Like, that was a nice. Again, it's a prequel. Like, I'm just gonna course correct you here, because this really gets my goat, man. Like, 4, 5, 6.
Oh no, it's all going downhill.
That's the stuff. Like,
It's gone.
like 1, 2,
We've lost
3 is a nice to have more than anything else, right? So, anyways, sorry. Continue. Horus Heresy.
So, Horus Heresy, it's very much the same thing. You don't need the Horus Heresy to be able to play the game, but the second you read the books, fuck me, like the game completely changes for you, because you suddenly have this background, and it's the fact that the Horus Heresy has so much more love put into it, I believe, than some of the other books, because it is a complete turning point for the human race, and I think it just. I am a slow readers group. I'm not ashamed to admit that. I am very, very slow at reading. The first Horus Heresy book I picked up in the series, I was on a 1-week holiday, and this is a shocker to my wife, I managed to finish 4 books on that week because I just slammed through the Horus Heresy books. I was so captivated by it. And
Horus Heresy books are very well written as well. They're really gripping as well. They're blooming brilliant.
That's the thing about Warhammer, right? Is it's like there's like the lore aspect of it, which is what I was predominantly drew me into Warhammer. I wasn't interested in tabletop wargaming. I just liked like the crazy lore behind it. And I think that the writers that have taken over Games Workshop like media and the continuity, they all know each other's work so well, and they're able to play off that so well from book to book, whether it's something to like, you know, whether it's following a certain individual on the other side of the galaxy, or wow, we're really getting off topic here, but like it's the continuity of Warhammer and the world building and thought and just damn good writing that goes into it is phenomenal, right? It's phenomenal.
Yeah.
There's your word, Sam.
And for me, it was just always a case of I loved playing Horus Heresy. I thought it was a really good game, and it was the thing that made it a good game was that you almost had exactly the same armies that all had their own little flavor to them. So it meant that if you were playing with someone new, you could teach them the game with a very rough, okay, so I know that this unit does that. So you have that idea where you go, well, actually, you need this, I need this. And if you're an experienced player, you can pick these things up and you can teach new people. And it was a really good game to get new people into it. And then you go read the books and then they get more into it. But I have forever been an Alpha Legion fan. I am a 20th Legion stoic hero. Let's go with hero. In fact, the only painted models that remain in my collection is my Alfarius that I still have in a little glass cabinet at the end of my loft, and it's one of my favorite models. My wife got it for my 30th birthday, and I don't think I could ever sell it because I personally put so much love into building it, and because I played so many games of it as well, it caused so much destruction and really annoyed people. I never played the armies that were game breaking, but I always played the armies that used to make the people who were aggressively playing get really annoyed, and that was my kind of thing.
I must say it's an odd choice. I wouldn't take you for the traitors, but okay, noted. Fair enough.
Yeah, I took him. I took him more for a like an Imperial Fist player to start with, but
I would have gone Space Wolves, to be honest with you. Like, I honestly
Yeah.
would have
that's even
So
worse.
lumped him in with like Russ
So
and the
Space Wolves
Wolf Clan,
were-
I don't know.
Space Wolves were
Ah,
my
there you
other
go.
legion.
There you go. Got you.
But
Nailed you.
ironically, I loved Space Wolves when it came to 40k, but I believe that the Space Wolves were done absolutely dirty in the Horus Heresy books. I believe that the Space Wolves first novel sorry, James. The Space Wolves first novel, I think, is just, it ruins the Space Wolves. I have never wanted to like the phrase "wet leopard growl" gets mentioned so many times. It just ruins the immersion in the book. Anyway, as James said, we're not talking about trains anymore, so let's move back towards trains.
We need to get onto weathering.
Yeah, no, we really do. Okay. I knew this was gonna happen. James, where's my letter, James? Come back. I need you to guide us.
We don't need him.
So,
we're
Sam,
strong, independent humans.
No, I don't know. We're just babies. Did you start weathering locos before you kind of got into the hobby? Were you doing it as a commission thing, or did you, once you got back into trains, you just started mucking up your own?
Pretty much the second option. So I got back into the hobby, and the instant thing that really put me off was how shiny. I started buying Lima 33s and old Hornby HSTs, and I just couldn't get over how bright and shiny they were. And I was just like, this isn't for me. And then just one day decided to take an airbrush to them, and then never looked back. And then I just basically transported those skills that I'd been using for years painting Warhammer, and then moving it across 2 trains, and it just worked really, really well. And it's one of those things where you see a lot of Warhammer people taking the skills that model trains and wargame people use and taking it over to Warhammer, but you don't often see the people bringing it over to trains. And I think oils especially, I think it just works so perfectly with ready to run model railway stuff.
It works well in other ways as well, because I've followed the same route as you into this hobby for the most part. SBJs, I've been collecting Warhammer for the past 15 years, and it's only since I moved to this house that I've actually ditched all that in and gone into model railways. And I've built locos using the same kind of techniques I'd have used to have built Warhammer models, for example. They work hand in hand.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think one of the toughest parts when it comes to weathering for people, especially when it comes to trains, is because when you do model railways, when you do Warhammer, you are effectively painting the model from scratch. So you've already done the hard part of having to paint the entire model. To then weather it is something that isn't alien. We in this hobby spend, let's say 100, in case anyone's listening. Let's say we spend £100 on a loco, and then you're told, right, okay, you now need to take some oil paints and an airbrush to that to make it look dirty. You go, well, I've just spent my wages, I've spent my good money on it. Why would I want to do that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think there's a huge amount of trepidation that comes with mucking up your own locos, right? And on that. Yeah, go ahead, Rob.
Yeah, that's why Hilt's getting you to do his.
Yeah, like I have no confidence in that level of stuff. But there's a difference between weathering, right? And I have been waiting to bring this one up. There's a difference between weathering and completely repainting a locomotive. Like that's next level, because I think that takes, well, first of all, a lot of bravery, but a lot of skill, Sam. Like that, first of all, can I just say, it is a crying shame that this livery never ran. Absolutely atrocious, because that is arguably one of the best 37 liveries ever. So, when it came to repainting, I mean, I know you have a whole process where you sort of strip things down and start over again, but I suppose that's probably where your Warhammer experience kind of comes back, because that's more painting than weathering, right? Warhammer. Whereas model railways is more weathering than painting. this is a fairly rare thing, you repainting a full model. You know, taking that step forward into the hobby, was that an easy thing to do, or did you do a fair bit of practice before you jumped into something like this?
Anyone who knows me knows that I'm very much, I will happily jump into something even if I haven't done my research properly, and I will give it a go. And if it screws up, I have to live with those consequences. However, I effectively started picking up TTA tanker wagons for about £3 each. So the old Hornby tanker wagons. Yeah. And my first actual repaint that I did, I was like, right, okay, so I need to work out how all of this works. I need to work out what I need to take apart in order to paint this, so that I can strip it, so I can put it in a spaghetti jar to get all of the crud off this model. And the TTA tanker wagons are fantastic for it, because the whole thing just comes apart and you can work on it. And I said, right, okay, let's try and put both of these parts of the hobby together, so that I can show off that this is something that you can actually try and do this yourself, because I think everyone can do it. I think it's just a case of actually having to sit down and do it.
Pucker up and get going.
You kind of just have to do it. I mean, it's very easy for me to say that when you've got a £3 tanker wagon, but obviously then when you start working towards actual locos that cost, I mean, to be honest, that 37 was a non-runner, and I think it cost me £40 to do. So I'm kind of hiding behind this, like, oh, you could do it to anything. I mean, nowadays I do that to like expensive locos, and I do repaint them, but you kind of just have to jump in and do it, because the amount of people it shows you tell me they're too scared to weather, and it's kind of like, if you don't do it, you're never going to do it. You have to jump in and just get started.
Yeah. And I think that you make a good point. Like absolutely. I think you make a good point. Like, starting out, I think everyone's got that £2-3 old Hornby wagon that they could get going with. It's really not the most interesting thing to do it with, but damn it if it doesn't give you some decent foundations and practice, right? I've got 2 wagons that are just filthy, because I'm just literally trying out, different paint types and stuff on them that, I'll basically pull them out every time I weather something or attempt to weather something, and just test more than anything else.
I think something that we do, and we're very guilty of it in this hobby, and I think why doing a repaint into a fictional livery like the Network Southeast 37 works, is because if it's something that's never been done before and there's no version of it, you have so much more scope to do what you want. And the tanker wagons, the reason it was an easy start for me, so I've just picked one up as an example. So this is probably why Rob thought that I was an Imperial Fists player, because I basically grabbed loads of TTA tanker wagons and I sprayed them yellow, and then I just taped them up and put a black stripe on them, and then just put some Imperial Fist transfers on them. And like it was a case of
sorry, I accidentally removed you entirely. Sorry, Sam.
Bye. See you next time.
Sorry, man.
As soon as he mentions the Imperial forces, he gets kicked off. What's this?
I just think that if it's something that you want to do, you kind of just need to jump straight in, give it a go, and you'll never know unless you do it. Is the best way I can word it.
Absolutely.
End of the day, it makes your model unique as well. One of one. I did that with a Cursed Stewart. I repainted that to be a one of one, because no one else has done a lined version of it. You just need the courage to repaint a locomotive that's £200 of your well-earned money to pretend maybe make it better.
I agree. I think the sad thing about weathering, or I think maybe the thing that causes a lot of trepidation around it, is that there can be a point of no return. perhaps not in someone like your case, Sam, where you can literally take a loco back down to its, factory shell, and repaint it again if you mess up. But like for most modelers like myself, if I were to make a mess up, which I very nearly did with my class 20. I know you watched that particular episode, but there was a point of, okay, I've gone too far and I've actually messed this up. Can I save it at this point? So what Phil's saying here, I only weather or attempt to weather older models, ones that don't cost over 150 pounds. I can totally relate to that, because I mostly touch my old stuff while I'm kind of getting used to the weathering thing, because it is a terrifying prospect. And I think with a lot of that, maybe if you could share what sort of stuff you use to weather and what to avoid more than anything else is probably a good idea, because I feel like there are certain paints that just are not happy with factory paint jobs, and it'll mess them up entirely. So what do you use and what do you tend to avoid?
So for me, I'm not an enamel person, and I know Aaron from Uphill and Onwards has been on the receiving end of me on this one. So Aaron, I apologise, and this is where
don't apologise. He gives out enough shit. He can take some. I'm quite blunt. I'm quite blunt sometimes when I talk to people, and Aaron. So apologies that I'm using you as an example in this story. Aaron once turned round to me and he said, "Sam, if I could ask your opinion on this, what would you use? What would you do? X, Y, and Z." And this is why I'm very short with my answers with a lot of people, and I just say what I actually. But I typed out a thing. I was like, "Here's what I think you should do. You should try this, 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 and this." And I said, "Whatever you do, don't use enamels, because enamels don't give you the work time that some of the other things do." Yada yada yada.
Mm.
Aaron then came back with, "So I've picked up some enamels and I've done this with my thing that needs weathering." I was like, "Cool. So you've just asked me for my opinion and just completely fucking ignored everything that I've said."
That sounds like Aaron.
Yeah.
I've taken you helped me pretty much paint Tom Rolt, didn't you? You gave me the advice to do that, and look how that's turned out.
I mean, I know, and this is, I think with trained people, this especially is a thing. You do have the acrylic and the enamel party. I don't use either of those when it comes to weathering. If we're just talking weathering, I genuinely think oil paints are the best medium that you can use, because enamels and acrylics dry too quickly. You don't have the work time that you get with oil paints. Oil paints and some Artist White Spirit. I've had it before. I've been working on a weathering job, and I've had my mum's come around for a cup of tea during the day. So I stepped away from the job midway through doing it, and I've gone and had a cup of tea with my mum. She's gone home, and then I come up and I can continue working with it. And that's one of the greatest parts about working with oil paints is if you need to take 5 minutes away to work on something, you can. And
sure.
I think one thing we really sort of screw ourselves over with in this hobby is it's very, very easy to get frustrated with ourselves and create a bigger problem the more and more we work on it. And I think that's why oil paints work really, really well, because if you get frustrated and something's not doing what you want it to do, it's really, really easy to go, I'm just going to take a pause, take a step back, go away, come back to it. And because you've got about 24 hours to work with it, you do have that lead time, and it's how you're able to achieve streaking and stuff that if you don't like it in a couple of hours, you can change it.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And I think you touch on a fairly good point there, Sam. Like, so I actually didn't know you did oils. I actually thought you only used acrylics, but which is interesting to me, because I've never even thought about oils. Like, acrylic has always been like the go-to for me across model aircraft before I stepped into the world of model railways. And I've always liked acrylic just because of the dry time, right? And I think one of the things that you touch on there is two elements of it is patience. The first of all is like the element of patience for, not rushing the job to get it to get it done quickly because you want to see the finished product. I think I'm very guilty of that. I'm like, when I weather something, I feel like, I can get this done in a day. Let me just like, and we're good to go. And I think the second element of that in terms of patience is just, I don't know how. Okay, forget it. What I kind of lost my train of thought on patience. Never mind.
There's so much irony that you lost your train of thought.
I know.
So I find I use acrylics when it comes to an airbrush, so that's probably a defining point to sort of say. For me, I genuinely believe that oils and airbrush is the perfect medium. But it's easy for me to say that when it's me doing it and my time is my time, and I'm not charging someone for it. And something I regularly say to people is like, you choose what suits you best, and I will never try and force people to go with a particular just airbrush, oils and airbrush and stuff like that. I think a general rule for me is that I always recommend to N-Gage customers that maybe paying for oils and airbrush isn't necessarily worth their time and money, whereas with O-Gage people, I don't know what
James
part
is
you're laughing
completely ripping you, man.
Sam did a great video on oils and I bought some time ago. They're still in the open box. I don't think that's ripping me. I think that's him just admitting how bad his ADHD is, like we all have.
Oh yeah, fair enough. Yeah, fair enough.
Now I've lost my train of thought. Where was I going with this?
No, sorry.
Oils.
Robbie,
The trains are leaving the station tonight. Jesus Christ.
Okay, I'm not going to entertain that, Aaron. No, you were talking about N-Gage and suggesting that yeah.
I think with N-Gage, it's the okay, that one James is ripping into me. So it's fair to say that with N-Gage, I think that you're wasting it's not worth you investing in doing oils and airbrush, or at least if you pay someone to do it. Whereas if you're working on O-Gage, I think it is very important to do oils and airbrush because there's so much more that you can see to it.
There's a lot more surface area and a lot more details to cover, isn't there?
Yeah, exactly that. And I think double O-Gage is the medium in between where you can pick which one of those you want to do. You can have stuff that is just airbrush and looks absolutely great. You can have stuff that's oils and airbrush that also looks really, really great. And that's not saying that you can't do oils with the N-Gage, and it's not saying that you have to put oils on the O-Gage. But I think if I'm recommending to someone and it was me in that position, I'd be like, just do this, or you should probably go for this. And I think that's where you as a person have to try and decide. And Hilton and I were speaking about this earlier today. It's what is your time and what is your money worth? Do you think that the application of putting oil paints on there is worth your time? Or if you're paying someone else to do it and you like what that person's doing, the reason you're paying someone to do it is because you think that your time isn't worth doing it. So therefore you have to make it that their time is worth doing it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's such an underrated thing too, Sam. I wanted to ask you both because you both are within the sort of show scene. I'm obviously very divorced from that sort of stuff unless I'm watching somebody's video of like somebody else's layout. Do you guys have like competitions within the model railway space at shows for weathering? Is that a thing, or is that just because we have that similar sort of thing with aircraft or ships? You have model painting and weathering competitions, but it's not something I've ever seen in model railways. And why do you think that is? If the answer is no.
You have such as the Golden Demon in Warhammer terms.
That's what I'm talking about. But in model railways, I've not seen something like that.
I don't even think that's a thing over here, is it, SBJ? It's kind of like a Dark Horse kind of thing that's just becoming apparent these days, isn't it? People modifying their models.
It's I think you get the best layout at a show. I think that's something that you always get at a show. But do you know what? I think you've raised a good point. I'd love to see you go to a Warhammer event where they want the best hero, the best art, the best army, the best unit, the best vehicle, and stuff like that. So if they get awards for stuff like that, maybe we need to start normalizing that at a show. You give an award for the best weathered loco that's on a layout. You give an award for the best scene on a layout. Maybe we do need to start. I know Matt's in the chat, so Matt from Matt's Maritime Rails. Maybe Slough needs to do
give him some ideas.
A best weathered loco, and if I don't win it, then I'll be furious.
Rigged. It's rigged.
No, but I think it is.
Just like all the competitions on Instagram, they're all rigged.
You can't say that because Hilton won.
I did. I couldn't believe that. I was really caught off guard. I was really
sipping from an Emperor's Path mug that I won.
It's not rigged at all. It's not even mildly rigged. But I do think that it's something that perhaps would encourage a little bit more adventure within those a little bit more cautious to step into the world of weathering. It could only be a good thing to have some kind of competition format. And it seems like
agree.
A kind of no-brainer, and I'm surprised it's not been done to this point, given how popular scale modeling, aircraft dioramas, competitions of that sort are. Why doesn't Model Railways have that? And I feel like it should.
It's an untapped thing, isn't it?
Great idea.
Matt, make it happen.
We've talked about this quite.
Yeah,
we've talked about this quite a bit. How it's really easy to find that you get a layout that is really well weathered, but all of the stock running in it is immaculate, and it's such a weird concept. Like you kind of think it should be the other way round. The world is probably more likely to look a little bit nicer than it is the locos. But I mean,
it's so true.
In an ideal world, I think that's what we need to do. I do need to highlight that 71D Productions said lemon pledge.
I think that might be a dig at Hooterton, though.
That's fine. I still need more lemon pledge.
I want to go back to 71D's Finborough. Completely agree. Think an airbrush generally for weathering N is overkill. Yeah, I think unless you have a very fine airbrush, which I certainly don't. Sam, actually, on that note, I know you said 00 was obviously, of course, like the median of the scales, but do you have a preferred? Because I remember you mentioning a lot of podcasts ago that you were doing some O-gauge stock and you were juiced on that. Is that your favorite to weather?
No, at the moment it's probably still 00. I think
00, okay.
O is too big in order, like, so the 33 that I weathered was so heavy. I usually sort of have the loco in my hands and spin it around as I'm weathering it, but the 33 was so heavy I couldn't hold it, so trying to weather it and being able to move it around and manipulate it so that I could put the streaking on it was really difficult. When it came to the rolling stock it was fine, but the loco was just a little bit too heavy. So I think I'd say 00 at the moment is my favorite to weather. I think it is very much the happy medium, but getting to work on O is fun because you find so many more things that you didn't see before.
Honestly, the work that you did on that Class 03, I don't know, I can't remember if it was 4 now, but I'm sure you do, was absolutely phenomenal. That 03 never looked better.
Patrick Lane TMD, which is a layout built by the Little Layout Company, so it was built by Neil. And it's actually part of the Winchester Model Railway Group, so it's quite a local layout now. But that was a really, really nice loco to do. I think as much as I liked having the 33, because I love 33s, I think they're such a good loco, but having one,
they are nice.
On
they
the
are
desk,
nice locos.
It did make me think. I've always wanted a 50 in O, but I just don't think I have a shelf or a desk that could support the weight of the 50, let alone a layout to run it on.
A little sneak
Sure.
peek. The Class 50 is coming up soon on my channel, the O gauge version, and it is a freaking beast.
Yeah, it's a battleship. Honestly, it's ridiculous. But I hear you. That makes a lot of sense. Oh, a very important question. So when does Hilton get his podcast appearance?
Oh!
Firstly, I
And then
need to-
James was like, he's in a long queue.
We need to get every member of the Shunting Yard on your podcast now.
The thing is, like, it would be really difficult to get Dan on because Dan hasn't done anything hobby-wise, has he? He's and I get
No,
that. That's how we sometimes operate. So I'd struggle. And then James.
If you ever talk about making your own track, James is your man.
This is the thing. So what James does looks phenomenal, but he doesn't have a layout. So
Oh shit, son!
but it's true, right? And I've said this to him before. Like I think Rob, even you said it, where James was like, "How quickly did you get that layout bit on the loft?" And you even said, "Yeah, take some points." Because I moved into a house and built a layout within a month, and James is.
You were quick.
I managed to relay the whole of the kiln line in 2 months.
How many derailments have you had, Rob? Just this evening?
One this evening, yes.
Just kidding.
But that's pretty good in fairness. I'm sure other people have many more derailments than me.
Okay, let's see. I think Matt was talking about the competitions element. Hooterton says my competitions aren't rigged.
Lies.
Matt
Lies
says
and
there's a
slander.
celebrity judge this year at MRX.
I know exactly who that is.
Who is that? Isn't that?
It's Laurie.
Yeah, I thought it might be.
It's
That's
the
very
worst.
cool.
It's the worst kept secret that has ever been had.
Well, definitely not a secret now, Rob.
Because he's on the committee, right?
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
James says it's all bloody fixed. Just ask Steve's a British railroader. I'm not sure actually what James is referring to here.
Yeah, would you like to elaborate, SBJ?
Pretty far back.
That was the
Okay.
competition stuff.
Okay, I got you. Then says Charlie. Honestly, weathering wasn't something that necessarily interested me until meeting SBJ. What did you do to me? Oh, isn't that just so nice to hear? Love to hear.
That's an
brilliant.
ego rub, if any of them, right?
Money's in the post, Zach. Don't you worry. I was about to do another James-esque story then, and then I remembered that Zach is under 18, and that would be very wrong. So
It's
Oh
past
my
watershed,
God, no,
mate.
please.
Sam,
No.
it's past watershed, mate. Go for it. Go on.
Rob,
Go.
no, Rob. I just need to highlight something. If someone's under 18, Rob, that doesn't make it okay if it's past 9 o'clock.
No.
Oh my
listen.
God, yeah, absolutely.
If they're under 18, above, and it's past 9 o'clock, they can watch whatever they want on TV. It's up to them, right?
Okay. Oh my God. Oh. Oh, all right, let's move along. Russell, good night.
Yeah,
Sleep
thanks,
well.
Russell.
I recall a little while back, I saw Sam's very cool weathering on Dapple Hawthorne. How different did it feel to weather a steam loco? Because, yeah, I mean, you do mostly do diesels and electrics. So, you know, how do you feel about steam as opposed to? I know your bread and butter is the other side, but do you enjoy steam?
Yeah, I like steam. I find it very different to weather it.
He likes Western steam.
I think the thing I find the hardest about steam is that they're traditionally a lot of darker colours to like the paint scheme. So Great Western Green is quite dark. BR Black, it's quite dark. LMS dark maroon. No shock here. The LNER fans don't necessarily send me locos to weather, so it's quite difficult. I don't really have any, but most of the stuff that you weather when it comes to Steam is always in a darker color, so therefore it's sometimes harder to portray the weathering on it. Hence why you see a lot of people who will use the lime scale and the rust and stuff like that to weather them, because it shows up more and it pops. But the basic colors of the locos are definitely darker, and I think it's more of a challenge for me. And I think it's that kind of thing where I have no problem with weathering the Steam stuff. It's always a case of that you'll usually find that your customers, your clients, however you want to word it, they will traditionally they'll see you do one thing and they'll go, oh, I've got something like that needs to be weathered. And it's probably why you see constant diesels and electrics coming through, because they see me weathering diesels and electrics and say, okay, I want something that looks like that. The short answer, Aaron, is I really like weathering Steam. I probably just don't get enough through my workbench that don't get shared as much as the diesels, I'm afraid. But
I remember when you first started doing the weathering, Sam, and you used to get a fair bit to start with, didn't you? Because you got like panniers and Q1s and all that kind of stuff through the door, but it's just kind of seem to have just leveled off, hasn't it, in terms of diesels and electrics rather than anything else?
Yeah, I think the key thing there is that most of the stuff that I share originally was my stuff. So I have diesels and electrics. I weather a diesel and electric. I share that, and it keeps the constant flow when going through. And it's that kind of thing where I have, I've got the Black 5 is the only loco I've weathered of mine that's a Steam loco over the last year, because all my other Steam locos are old ones that I've had for a very long time that I weathered years ago with the airbrush. So it's quite difficult. But yeah, definitely, I remember when I first really got into the weathering side of it as a commission-based side of it, it definitely felt like the Steam started really, really strong. But I think because I was weathering my own stuff and I was uploading it, and I definitely did a lot of repaints of my own stuff as well. So then you weather that as well, and you just have a constant stream of all of this modern day stuff coming through, I guess. Yeah.
I didn't know your Black 5 was weathered. I need to take another look at it, because I didn't realize that you had done it. Do you kind of do it in like almost like a preservation weathering where it's kind of quite subtle? Not like, because I mean preserved steamers are usually pretty damn clean, right? Did you just give it a light dusting?
I was about to say it was definitely a light dusting. I find with Steam locos, I think the light. Sorry, I've just seen James's comment.
I know. I was gonna. We'll talk about it just now.
Dark green. The Steam loco side of it, I do think they genuinely look better when they are lightly weathered, and that one is one of the few examples of my own stuff where I've gone only airbrush on it. I haven't done any oils on it. And the trick, I think, with Steam especially is it's worth weathering it whilst it's on a rolling road, because of all the rods and pistons and stuff. If you weather it whilst it's stationary, you'll end up with these really bright spots when the wheels go round where the piston rods and the coupling rods were. So I tend to put it on a rolling road, let the wheels spin round, and then weather it that way and just sort of keep it light.
So do you do, out of interest, because I actually need to start going into Steam, I did a big boy, which was a Rivarossi model. It was really old, so I felt like I had liberty to kind of go crazy with it and make it look like something from the end of Steam in the 60s in the US. But would you, with your Black 5, what sort of colors are you using along the wheel set there? Is it kind of like a coal, like an ashy color, or do you tend to go with more of a brown? What kind of suits the preservation Steam weathered look? I wish I had a photo of your Black 5 now.
I'll send you a picture later. I think there's one color I always use, which is a dark brown, and it's Sleeper Grime by Rail Match, but also the chocolate matte brown by Humbrol is also very, very good. And the thing with an airbrush is people are really keen and they think that the airbrush is the quick method. And sometimes people treat it as if it's a rattle can, which it's not. The airbrush is meant to be multiple layers. And you probably wouldn't necessarily see that I've put a chocolate brown paint on the Black 5. But if you do it in a thin enough coat and you're doing it sort of lightly, when I go to shows, the thing I always tell people, and Zach, who's been to shows, will have heard this spiel so many times, but you constantly get people who will press down the trigger and pull back as far as they can, and then just expect all the paint to come out. But it's more about sort of feathering the trigger, so you're just doing it sporadically. And I think that's where, especially with an airbrush weathering, that's where people genuinely get lost of it. And it's even worse when people do it with enamels, because an enamel paint not only dries so much thicker, but it doesn't have the opaqueness that the acrylic paint has. So there's mistakes are much worse when you do make them.
Sure. Right, so back to this. Sorry, I had to return at some point.
We got Aaron throwing us back to the DP1 as well.
I was just about to say, no southern bias, since this is not a fight club. I was just going to say, are you guys ready to do the fight club? Because I figured we'd kind of kick off just in honor of what fight club is and was in many ways. I just want to put up the two locos that we're discussing this evening, which is the DP1 and of course the DP1. So between the two of those two locomotives, Sam, which would you make an argument for one of them?
I mean, I feel like this is a trap.
No, we would never do that.
Do a Jones good, Sam.
Yeah, I can't see a problem with doing a Jones good. Like it's one of those style of locos that just looks phenomenal anyway. What
I agree.
Doing and the colours that it comes in just look great as well. So I can't imagine there'd be any problem with doing those Caledonian sort of lighter colours. Definitely would lend very well to weathering as well. And I think the SECR green as well. Sometimes in certain liveries that would also benefit as part of a steam side of it. They'd probably benefit very, very well from that.
King Ori says,
I'm avoiding answering the question.
I know, don't worry, I moved you on. I know you.
Thanks.
I know you choose DP1, of course. So I was told at a show that as a beginner, the best way to get started in the hobby was weathering stuff. A few years later, and ended up being painting. I'm not sure. The best way to get started in the hobby was weathering stuff. Because ended up being painting. Isn't that the same thing?
I think it's it might be repainting. King Ori, am I?
Oh, okay.
I'm assuming so. Anyway,
it takes courage to do that on a model that you've just bought. I think it's a good skill to be able to do, especially if you want a one-off livery like Hilton tends to want to with some of his engines.
Well, I only want. I don't want a one-off livery. The only one I would get is actually I would get Sam's NSE 37. I really would.
Yeah,
like actually, I want one now that I'm aware of it. I do want one now. So
you have no idea how much I want to get an O gauge 37 and get him to do that.
Oh my god, O gauge!
It'd be phenomenal. It would be absolutely phenomenal.
Matt from Down Under. SBJ, if I can get an Aussie Class 38 Steam Loco, would you want to give it a crack? I've seen a few that look like they were made out of dirt.
I never say never. I'd have to have a quick Google, so bear with me. Also, quickly Google it. If this is going to turn out that actually the Class 38 is a DP1, I'm going to flip my table.
It's not. Hold on, I'll bring up a photo as well.
Is that the New South Wales one? Is that the one that comes
very
in
pretty
in quite
engines.
Delightful apple green?
Very pretty engines.
That's the one. Yeah, I think they were done by Hornby recently.
It looks like
or a company that was assisting Hornby. There was some connection with Hornby. I don't know. I'll bring it up now.
I think I know what you're on about actually, because Hornby
It
own
looks like somebody's.
because they own a fair few companies around the world now, don't they? They own Fleischmann, do they? Fleischmann? So
No, I don't think
surprise me.
Fleischmann. No, Fleischmann is under Markland now, or Roco. I think it's under Roco actually.
Or is it Markland that they own? It is Markland, isn't it? Because that's how they brought out the Play Trains range.
Markland owns. No. Markland is not under Hornby by any means.
Okay.
It's Hornby. Hornby owns Lima, Juif, or however you say that, the French one. Rivarossi.
Right. Yes.
And then there's another one, but no, they have nothing to do with Fleischmann. Fleischmann and Roco are together because now Roco does only HO and Fleischmann only does N, whereas Fleischmann used to do HO. And Markland and Trix are together. Trix does obviously the
Roco used to do some pretty good, amazing 009 stuff as well, which was really, really good.
Yeah, all those Continental blokes took a shot at some British stuff at one point or another. I know there's a couple warships from Trix that kind of go around every now and then. That is, Matt, sorry, to come back to your Class 38, a stunning piece of engineering. Absolutely
so beautiful.
Yeah.
It looks better than Scotsman in apple green. Easy.
Okay,
so much better.
All right, shut up.
Problem is, Rob, is you're outnumbered here because I'm with Hilton on this one.
No, it's not true, because I guarantee there's more Aussies in the Southern Hemisphere people in the chat that would side by me.
No, they wouldn't. I promise you that. We're the voices here. The chat doesn't matter.
Shit.
Just kidding. Please like and subscribe. Okay. Just remembering a certain Fight Club episode, Sam, would you ever weather a prototype Deltic?
I'd always weather it.
Says Hilton.
Just wondering.
Asking for a friend.
The thing is, I don't like the loco, therefore I would never spend my money on it. But if somebody wants to waste their money on a DP1, that is completely up to them. And if they just want to pay me, to make it look slightly better, then that's fine.
Make it look like it's been scrapped.
So insulting.
But it's one of those.
We're doing so well with Scotsman.
I just personally, it's one of those things I would just never spend my own money on, and I'd feel incredibly guilty if someone gave me one. Like, it's that kind of like, I'd be like, "No, it's all right. British Heart Foundation might take it."
Just take it straight to a charity shop.
The copper scrap man.
Tom says, have you ever weathered any narrow gauge steam? Would it be like weathering N gauge? It's a good point. Sam?
I've not weathered any yet, but I do have some narrow gauge stock that I do want to weather. I think the thing is that the proportions of the narrow gauge stock suit and this goes back to what James has said on multiple occasions. It whilst it fits on N gauge track, the proportions of the actual things suit the detail on a narrow gauge loco is the detail that's on a 00 gauge loco, whereas the detail that's on an N gauge loco is scaled down. So I think that's where the problem lies. I'd probably feel guilty. No is the answer. Yes, I do want to do it. I don't think it would be like weathering N gauge stuff. I just feel like it would be a very, very micro version of a 00 gauge project.
Yeah.
Once I finish painting Lochton Roman, I might send it your way to get weathered.
Cool.
Just to give you something different to paint, just to weather.
You sound like you really got clogged up there on Lochton Roman. Sorry,
well,
Rob.
You know, I was putting in my inner Welsh. Okay, Hilton.
You did great.
Hell.
Zach again. I know I've mentioned this idea with Hilton, and I wonder why. But SBJ, if I were to hypothetically get another 50 Scott Rail, he could do it. I can tell you, he can do it.
The man can do it. He has magic painting fingers.
So it's completely doable. And the reason I think it's completely doable is because we have a real life representation of that almost exact livery in the form
On
of
the Severn Valley.
Yeah, the Severn Valley have the Intercity Swallow version of the ScotRail, which is literally one colour. That's the only difference. So instead of that red, you've got the blue band. So yeah, it's completely doable. I think one thing that's always difficult when it comes to repainting locos is when it's a one-off of something that I've not done before or something that I'm not going to get another job of. It's the fact that usually when you have to purchase transfers, that's when the costs start rising more than they should. And speaking from recent experience, when it's a one-off, I do say to people it's probably best if you purchase the transfers yourself. Big man above me on the screen here is well aware of this, because until Hilton came along, I did not have any ScotRail locos to come. So it's doable, but unlike where I have a mountain of Network Southeast transfers and I can easily do it, I can't promise that for other liveries, but it's completely doable. And like I say, you have the real life version of it where you can effectively match it and just change one color and it's the same thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Zach, if there are any left over from my project, just ask Bam. Guess he might have a few spare after all of this. James wants to know if you're okay. It's well past your bedtime.
Is this normally the time that you cut off for MERP? Is it? Is that what he's trying to say?
I have to make special arrangements. Sam, it's so cold in the bed without you.
Is that him calling you back to bed? Is it?
Oh, I love that Tom said that. Thank you so much, Tom.
There's so much love for you here, Sam. My gosh.
So I'm not a night person. This is I've done 2 nights on the trot where I've stayed up late. I am very much I get up in the morning and I'm very much a morning person, and then it gets to the evening and I'm really, really grumpy. And I know what's going to happen is we're going to turn off this and my social battery is going to be completely depleted. But I'm having fun.
We appreciate that. We appreciate the effort in there.
Thanks.
Yeah, absolutely. Very commendable, Sam. And aren't you guys on a bank holiday tomorrow, or is that Monday?
It's tomorrow and Monday.
Oh, okay. So that's why we're turning it up. All right, cool. We can do another 2 hours, guys. According to Sam and Rob. So strap yourselves in. It's gonna get. No, I'm kidding.
Didn't you hear Sam the first hour of this saying that they drop off after 40 minutes?
Sam, I think you're on the sofa tonight.
Oh no, what's he said? Oh, okay. Sorry, I've not been catching up with all of this. I'll be tired in the morning.
Tom, I see your relationship is more of a Morecambe and Wise or Laurel and Hardy. You share a bed, but nothing happening in the sheets. Oh, kind of sad now you put it like that, Tom. Well, we've really opened up a whole new way of thinking about MERP, haven't we?
What's happened here is we've gone past the peak now, and we're going straight into the dark hour of the Shunting Yard, which is normally shared between Hilton and James, but we're here instead. So,
all right, guys. We are gonna start wrapping this up. I promise we're not doing another 2 hours. Any last questions from the community? Send them through, guys, and we will answer them. and then we will be calling it a night, so you can all go back to your model railways or bed, or James's bed, I guess. Let's see here.
This has taken such a weird turn. I didn't expect this to happen.
We warned you. I think we warned you. It doesn't really go right. But we tried, Sam. We tried.
Sam, this is more of a, instead of a interview kind of thing where we take it seriously, it's more of a drunken chat in the pub kind of thing where it deteriorates slowly as time carries on.
Favorite villains in railway history. Right, Rob, go.
Beeching, definitely. Even though he wasn't the focal point of it, but he wasn't really the instigator. But he's the person who everybody looked at when everybody was like, "But we like our steam engines, and like our branch lines." He was he's my favourite villain, but ultimately we know it was the government at the time that ultimately put down the axe. But everybody likes to point their fingers at Beeching.
Sam.
DP1.
I saw that coming from a mile off just from the look in his face.
Yeah, it was like cooking that one. Waiting. It was like he spat it out with such fire. DP1.
Yeah, as Hootston said, Beeching was the fall guy, but it was ultimately the government. But yeah, DP1, that hit. I reckon, the ultimate villain.
Yeah, I'm gonna say James. James, the red engine, by the way, just to be clear, he's the ultimate villain, ultimate dark horse. James is a proper twat, honestly.
I want to see what Buggles Kelly says about that now.
Spring Cottage. Rob, are you on the famous grouse this week?
Sadly not. Little equivalent.
He's actually on a higher level than the famous grouse. It's better than famous grouse, but...
So you're complimenting it, Hilt, are you? You're complimenting
really,
it now.
Not really.
That is like trying to work out whether Himmler or Goebbels was the best out of the two, to be honest.
Dr. Beeching, there's another one. Always a pleasure to watch you guys talk model hours and other random, sometimes concerning topics of conversation. Yes, especially Sam's nighttime sleeping habits. Okay, big question. Are we back to regular program for taking the piss out of the other James's track work, Baby Panya, or Night Owl? James hasn't got his Night Owl yet. I haven't even dispatched it, which I'm sure he's pretty miffed about because he actually paid for postage, but it's still sitting right here. But I will be sending off the Night Owl and hopefully never seeing it ever again.
Well, hopefully he still continues with his track when that turns up because, man, he's taking ages.
Yeah, he has.
I'm just
really
pre-warning you. Tom from Buggles Kelly's comment has just blown me away. It's fantastic.
There you go. He agreed. James is the proper twat.
No, look at the next
so
comment.
It's the red engine. I'm glad Tom and I see eye to eye on that. I can't speak for the other James, though. James, I still want to be on the podcast, please. James says, better not be going in my bed. I'm working nights. Don't think my wife will appreciate it.
I could just imagine Sam just slipping up the sheets between them, just like just smiling as he falls asleep.
Just a light dusting. Sam's like, I need to leave this podcast right now.
Good evening.
It's deteriorating further.
I'm glad we could all be here this evening. Now, will it be oils and airbrush for the two of you, or just a light dusting?
just like your head popping up between the sheets, like whoa, dude.
and then just 2 sprays of his airbrush.
Oh, shoot. Okay. Right. Bill, a great stream, guys. A real hoot. Have a great week, everyone. You too, Bill. Thank you very much.
Have a good
for
one,
joining
mate.
us this evening. Matt says, I'm going to say the class 800. I think that we were referring to the villains of model railways. Matt, I'd love to know why you say that.
No, the class 800 has been seen as the death of the HST. That is exactly probably why they've said that.
Okay, that makes sense then.
Yeah.
I kind of get that. To be
HST
fair, Hilton,
was
it takes time.
Yeah, go on, Crow.
No, sorry. It takes time to scoop up all the bits of the Night Owl and box them up. Yes, mate, I'm finding them all over the floor. Every evening I find another piece of the Night Owl and I put it in the box for James. Phil, I don't know if we're going to have time for this best character from the Railway series. A quick fire. Rob, go.
Oliver.
I know Sam's going to say the same thing, right?
I was actually really tempted to say Henry.
Henry.
Say it.
Henry.
That's a good one.
How
That's a
bad
good
would it have
one.
been if James?
James, the red engine.
Is that what you're going to say when you creep into bed with him later?
I just boop him on the nose and I go, hello there, my little red engine. Boop.
Oh my god! It deteriorates further.
Aren't you just a good little mixed traffic boy? Boop.
And he says, at this point, if someone comes into the room while I'm watching the podcast, I will have to say, I'm watching it for the plot.
I need to know if they're going to break up or still be together.
This might be the funniest stream so far. How funny. Oh, cool. Guys, this is gold. Best stream ever. I'm glad you all enjoyed this one. It's been a lot of fun. First one I've caught, and what a laugh. Some sort of Hannibal Lecter moment there. I'm not sure what moment that was. There's been a lot of moments. Got to be worth a like. I'm pinning my own moderator's comments. There you go.
Like and subscribe, everybody. Come on. Like and subscribe.
Okay, Sam, quickly, last one for you. We're going to leave it at this one. Sam, what are your hopes for a railway brand crossover in the future? That's obviously not the Beatles or the Titfield time.
Beatles, man. Jesus.
I was trying to work out what this meant.
I think, I think along the lines of, Beatles or Thomas or, I don't know, branded crap.
I don't know. I quite like a milk wagon, so maybe a Cravendale milk wagon or something like that.
Yes.
Like that.
Or a Muller one.
Oh, I want an oat milk one. That's what I want. And I want an oat milk tank wagon. Oatly. That's it. I was trying to think of the brand. An Oatly tank wagon. I'd be all over that. I'd buy a rake.
I need some context, guys.
But are milk wagons vegetarian or vegan? That is the question. They've got liquid dinosaur in them.
I feel like that killed the conversation.
I'm sorry.
So Hilton, Oatly is the oat milk brand over here, but it's really big. It's really popular.
Okay.
It's good.
Okay. Noted. Cool.
There you go.
We'll try. So that's why James
I'm happy to stick around for a bit longer, by the way, in case you do want to carry on, because I'm enjoying this.
All right.
We'll have 5 more minutes.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll give it 10. We'll give it 10. And just like that, any hope of monetized stream was destroyed. Don't worry, we're like 900 subscribers off that, so I'm not even stressed. We're gonna swear and cuss as much as we can until we get monetized. The sheer volume of memes I'm generating from this episode is about to break some world records.
Any publicity is good publicity.
James, the red engine was traumatized after what happened that night. I'm still waiting for my Hornby flying slipknot. So, James, on this note, did you see the AC/DC Marklin release? Because it is awesome. Like, they definitely needed to do something extra with that tooling because British modelers were not buying the Flying Scotsman from Marklin or Trix. So they were like, oh, well, bugger it, let's make an AC/DC train. But I am all for that. A Slipknot Flying Scotsman. Let's go.
If Hornby can do it, then anybody can do it, right?
Honestly, yes. Marklin are doing that right now. So, and I don't know if you guys saw the announcement post when it came out for that AC/DC Flying Scotsman, but like Marklin literally swore in the post. They were like,
I saw that. That was like, wow, what?
I was like, what is going on? They said like fucking anarchy or something like that, and I was like, whoa, Marklin, slow down. This is why.
Hey, it got your attention though, didn't it? It got your attention.
Yeah, it did.
Marklin, 50-mile-an-hour speed limit, guys. Calm it.
If Sam's face doesn't end up on the side of a DP1 as part of a rail brand crossover, I'll be disappointed.
He's even posed for it.
It's just a picture of me that says this pile of shit belongs in a museum.
You just need an Indiana Jones hat on then, don't you? This belongs in a museum.
Black Sabbath's Crazy Train and a coach that plays the full song. I think it'll get really old really quick, but I agree with you, Matt. Not a bad idea. Iron Maiden stuff or Queen. I mean, actually, I'm guys, we're not trying to encourage this, like genuinely. Like, it's not a direction that I think we want any of this to go in.
We're taking the piss. Come on.
Whoa. No, because I've seen Aaron's comment that's two underneath here, and do you know what? I would buy that.
What's that? Go on. Highlight it.
A black bomber cheese wagon.
Oh yes.
Wait.
I need one in NG7. I need one now.
What's the old Triang wagon that was like, it was a flatbed, but it had like a big wheel on it. If you made it that wheel was a wheel of Black Bomber, that would be.
We need it.
Yep.
Sam, you and me would buy that straight off the bat. Straight away, as soon as it is announced.
There's a rake of 10 coming to the layout.
Is this cheese? I don't know, guys. Sorry.
It's an extra mature cheese, and it's amazing. It is the best cheese I've ever tasted.
Okay. I'd
argue it is the best thing I have brought to the model railway community. Anything I have ever said. Black
that was on rail stuff, wasn't it?
It was,
when you first announced that. Yeah, I remember.
It's a phenomenal cheese.
It is brilliant. You put me on it. He put me on it as well, and I've never looked back. And I've even got my wife enjoying it too. So, best cheese on it. I'm
going to bring this one up again. Sorry. How will James take it now? It is clear being lead host is far better done by Hilton. He start a new podcast of his own for GWR people. Does that mean I lose Rob too? Because like it would just be me. I'm like the only LNER guy that's in the group. So I
Rob's
would literally just be
podcasts.
doing. Hilton, let's put it this way, mate. As no longer a GWR person, because I am a narrow gauge person, and I have no GWR locos left on my layout.
You eat Welsh coal for breakfast in your cereal box.
Absolutely, man. My favourite loco is German now, because Tom Rolt derived from a German loco. So
Dan, I find that comment slanderous. I will take this to James and report you, because he is the host of the show, and I will never do a better job than him, because as you can see from this evening, I have not kept us on topic at all.
James said he was going to be watching this. Where is he?
I think he
was losing. He was losing at Scrabble, and he had to check out.
I heard someone took our idea for HST Formula One liveries and ran with it, releasing in time for Christmas. No jokes. Honestly, Spring Cottage, I would buy them. I would genuinely buy a McLaren HST. I would be all over that. All about that. How about LNERA for Silver Lincoln Park? I like that. I really
Don't give Hornby ideas, for Christ's sake. They're still dealing with blooming Beatles. Jesus.
Is anyone else not a regional model at all? Well, none of us are models, Tom, but I'm not sure if you mean modelers. I buy such random logos from all eras and regions. I started like that, but go for it, Sam.
I like the fact that there's been so many spelling mistakes, but the one person that you're deciding to call out is Tom from Buggles Kelly Station. He's the poor guy. He's literally
but Tom,
one spelling mistake. You're just like, God, Tom, you're such an idiot. It's like, poor Tom. Like, there's been so many.
Calling him out right there.
I picked the comment first and then I read it. I didn't pick it because of the spelling mistake.
You're just like, oh God, he's so tall. I can't stand him.
In fairness, we weren't going to dance around controversy with the Shunting Yard, but
Tom, no offense at all.
It's all with good humour.
Start the beef.
Please come back next week. We beg you, please.
We're going to create some new YouTube drama. I can't wait.
Next week we've got Tom Marshall from Buggles Kelly Station on the Shunting Yard.
Tom, do you wanna come back? Oh my gosh, there's so many suggestions here. Okay. Tom Rolt was an Irish Andrew Barclay, I'm afraid to say, Robert.
Still not Western.
Technically, it's more Western than Great Western, technically.
I mean, yeah, technically. I mean, it's further away from Germany than what I thought it was.
Do you know what's more West than Wales? Ireland.
I mean, you're not wrong. You are totally right there, and apparently I'm more Western than I thought I was.
You Western slag.
Indeed. Actually, now that Sam was derailing my question, none of us actually answered it at all. So, Sam, I suppose you'd be an interesting one, because I know you mostly model Southern, but you do have a couple of others, right? Surely?
Yeah, so I find a lot of inspiration in what I do from the Southern region, but I mean, I've got the Cali Sleeper, I've got the Black Five. I suddenly panicked. I was like, actually, wait, no, they're all Southern. I think if the right loco comes along, or there's something that I really like I really like narrow gauge stuff, and especially the Quarry Hunsets. I think they're all really, really pretty. I guess to answer Tom's, I'm heavily biased towards the Southern, but it's not that I don't purchase other things. It's probably the best way.
Actually, on that note, then, Sam, do you have a Flying Scotsman? You didn't hear me?
I do not, I'm afraid.
Yes.
I think
You
the
don't?
Black Five is far better than the Flying Scotsman.
Yes, Sam,
no,
yes!
It's not that I actually agree.
Hilton's
Flying
lost for
Scotsman,
words.
just to clarify. I like
I
the
know
Flying
you are.
Scotsman.
I know you
but
are.
The Black
I know you
Five
are.
is far better.
I agree. I do agree. I love the Scotsman too, and I can understand, but I do think you need one at some point. I'm a little bit hurt. But it's okay.
But why are you hurt?
I don't know, because the other day we were talking about it on the podcast, and well, it's not a podcast, a live stream, and we were saying that every layout needed a Flying Scotsman, right? At some point.
Doesn't. It
Like,
really
everyone
doesn't.
does have a Flying Scotsman.
No.
It does.
Doesn't,
Shut up,
no.
Robert. It doesn't. It's available in every scale. Everyone needs one.
I haven't got one available in NG7, so...
Well, you're wrong.
That's because
Um,
it's not NG7, it's O gauge.
Fuck Scotsman.
wow. Okay. Damn. All right. We didn't have to go in that hard. Jeez. Like, but I agree with you, Sam. I actually, if I had to pick a favorite, like steam locomotive, it probably would be the Black 5 at this point. It probably would be. Sam has frozen
Okay.
again.
We've
Sam
sorted
is
this
freezing. Right. We're going to wrap this up, guys. We're going to wrap this up. Thank you all so much for joining us. I'm not, he didn't make any spelling mistakes. I'm just saying he doesn't have a Flying Scotsman. My granddad to drive it. That is epic. Tom, honestly, it's epic.
That's an ongoing joke.
You're all wrong, BR. 5MT above all. Are you mad?
No!
Are you cooked? Are you
Absolutely
absolutely
not.
cooked?
I mean, even Hilton would probably agree here. A Hall is better than a 5MT.
No. There's no way that a Hall is better than a 5MT. But anyways.
Well, I went out on a whim and I lost. Damn it.
There you go. Matt started a no with Flying Scotsman. What a lad. What a lad. All right, guys, we are going to wrap this up. It is actually like it's nearly the next day for me now, so I'm going to shut this down. Guys, thank you so much for joining us. It's been a real laugh, and Sam, it really has been an absolute pleasure to first of all chat face to face with you instead of just WhatsApp, but also just get some of your insights and some wonderfully romantic stories about Murph and your journey in the hobby. It's been a hell of a lot of fun, mate. Thank you so much for joining us.
No, that's fine. Thank you so much for having me. It has been an absolute blast, and I hope that you guys keep up the good work. And like I said to you, keep it constant so that we have something to look forward to every week.
So remind us here. So shall we start, Hilton? Where can they find you if they want to get in touch with you and see your content?
I'm on YouTube and Instagram as Proper Chuffed. And you, Rob?
I'm on Instagram, YouTube as The Kiln Line. And Sam?
If you want to find me on regular content, except for these 2 weeks, you can find me on the Model Rail Replacement Podcast, Instagram at Emperors_Path, or on YouTube for sporadic videos at Emperor's Path.
Sporadic videos.
Love that. Do a little bit of a disclaimer there.
Absolutely. And guys, if you haven't and you want to, please do join the Discord. It's in the link of all of our videos. So jump on in there, and it's a pretty good time. There's some very interesting characters, and it's always a bit of a laugh. So thank you so much for joining us. We will be back next Thursday, I believe. And James will be back in charge. So you get this one-time offer from me. And I'm so happy that I got Sam on my stream when I'm hosting. So super. I would say maybe proper chuffed with that.
He said the thing!
Again. Have a good evening and enjoy your Easter weekend. Ciao for now. Bye.
Good evening. Bye, everybody.